I'll give this little cookie an hour before we're doing the no pants dance. Time to musk up.
Wow. Never ceases to amaze me. What cologne you gonna go with? London Gentleman or... Wait. No. Hold on. Blackbeard's Delight.
No. She gets a special cologne. It's called Sex Panther by Odeon. It's illegal in 9 countries. Yep. It's made with bits of real panther, so you know it's good.
It's quite pungent.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, it's a formidable scent. It stings the nostrils. In a good way.
Yeah.
Brian, I'm gonna be honest with you. That smells like pure gasoline.
They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, let's go see if we can make this little kitty purr.
There you go. And isn't that a great lead-in? A good setup there. I lined that one right up.
Great there. Hello out there, great lands of streaming lands, YouTube, all those great places. How are we doing tonight? Of course, we are the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We are live Wednesday night and going to be discussing the 5th episode of the Rings of Power. I know it's been a while since we talked about the show, and we're finally getting back at it. We got some things all fixed so that we can get back to it and get back into this awesome TV series and talk a little bit about it. As you can see, we got a great small panel tonight. Me, of course, your host, Cybernetic Shark, and then, of course, my other co-host in the background here, Mr. True Knowledge, a.k.a. Jeff. How we doing, Jeff?
Oh, I'm good. I'm confused, but I'm good, man. It's all right. It's a good confusion.
Why are you confused?
I swear, man. I must be getting so old that I'm starting to have trouble with my hearing or something, because I could have swore I thought you wanted me to mod tonight. Oh, and I'm echoing too. I think I got to go to my headphones.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you want to moderate, sir, no problem. I was under the impression of moderating tonight because I was supposed to do Andor.
No. You're right. No, it makes sense for me to do Andor rotation wise. So you go ahead and handle your business, man. I'm good.
All right, people.
I'm very multi-layered here, man. I can switch right over and go on the panel, man.
All right.
It's not like anybody's going to outshine me on this panel tonight. You know what I'm saying? Unless we're talking about Dodge.
Anyways, folks out there. So now that we got that squared away. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about the Great Rings of Power episode 5, which is actually called Partings. It is called Partings. And just to kind of recap, to kind of get people back on the page where we are, to talk a little bit about the previous 4 episodes, we've had a lot going on. We've learned a little bit about the elves. We've learned some things about the dwarves and that they found a new mineral, which we happen to think that's probably going to be in the mineral they use to make the Rings of Power. We have the introduction to the Hartfoots, who happen to be like the hobbits of this series. And, of course, this being taking place, several thousand years prior to the Hobbit and to the Lord of the Rings themselves. It's all getting to know more information about these great characters that, the great J.R.R. Tolkien created for us, which has been really fantastic. So to get off with this episode, so basically the episode starts off, we see the Hartfoots and the rest of their clan, the rest of the other Hobbit-like people, and they're basically migrating to the Grove for the winter. While they're going through a forest, that's when they confront basically this pack of wolves. There's this wolves that all of a sudden show up and are going after the Hartfoots or the Hobbit-like people in this episode. Thankfully, the stranger that they picked up in the few episodes prior comes to the rescue, intervenes, and uses magic to stop the wolves. But unfortunately, the use of his magic injures his arm. And we end up finding out that strange women are seen at the stranger's landing site. So we have this interesting kind of beginning to this episode. We get this kind of action sequence. We get the introduction more to these types of like wolf creatures, which I do believe are the same creatures we saw in a previous episode that the orcs were using at the encampment where they were keeping all the elves to help them build whatever they were building. I believe it's the same creature. But these wolves are definitely out on some kind of pack, some running looking for food or whatever. But they definitely were very cool looking. So
they're a manifestation of the dark forces, Cyber.
Okay. So a manifestation of the dark forces, as my co-host has said. So Jeff, what did you think about that intro to this episode? What did you think about those wolves? What did you think about the stranger coming to the rescue and like beating them up and stuff like that? What did you think about that?
I could be wrong. Well, first of all, I cannot help it. But you know how it is. How I know it drives you crazy too. It's driving me crazy. I can hear everything you're saying being repeated and whatnot. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know if it's on my end or what. But like in the background, every time you're talking, I can hear you echoing. But anyways, bottom line, no. What I found interesting and what I was talking about with the wolves is, I believe they're just regular wolves. I believe that if you think back to Lord of the Rings, it's a situation where the forces of the darkness, of Sauron, and Mordor, and all the other figures that I'm sure, just like in the Lord of the Rings, will eventually meet that are also allied, to the dark forces, whether they be like magicians or what do you call it? Wizards or like dark wizards or like other characters or other figures that are also aligned with Sauron. Essentially, the dark forces and Sauron, the halflings could tell, the mom did, that there was something off with the forest, that they were being trapped or something like that. It was a setup. You know what I'm saying? Like, like something about it. It looked clearly, logically like it was almost devolved or like, or like broken down to a degree, or like dark and like, shadowy to a degree where they were being set up. Like it was a perfect spot to like, to attack them or whatever, And she had like a premonition or whatever, not a premonition, but like, a suspicion that like something was off. And what I believe it is that there is, with surrounding these dark forces and whatnot and everything, there is a almost like an aura that he's able to spread, like an energy that he's able to spread, almost like the Army of the Dead in the Game of Thrones, where everywhere they go, with the White Walkers and shit, darkness comes with them, right? Like it blots out the sun and everything goes dark. You can't hear me? Oh, I can't hear you. Hold on.
I'm sorry. What did you say? I'm sorry. I was seeing what that echo was.
oh, could you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Anyway, so no. So all I'm saying is that I believe that Sauron is able to almost like project in some way this darkness, this decrepitness, this ability where he's able to make areas like almost digress and like die. You know what I mean? And like he's able to make things darker and shadier. You know what I mean? And it's almost like a sign, a display of like his upcoming coming to this area and whatnot. Like as the dark forces spread, these type of things occur more, and regular things like wolves, regular animals, end up becoming also affected by that dark force, that energy, right? To where it causes them to almost become elements or tools of the dark forces, right? And at that point, they can't help themselves. You're going to get the most the most ferocious, violent, big, terrible versions of the wolves, right? because essentially they're instruments of the darkness of evil. At that point, anything good that they approach, they're going to attack it and kill it, right? Like that's how enveloping, you know what I'm saying, and like blanketing and like widespread the impact of like what Saran's capable of and whatnot, and his magical abilities and his aura, or whatever you want to call it, that he's able to inert. That's how powerful it is, right?
Yep.
And how devastating it is. When they talk about like when Ador talks about bringing total darkness to Middle Earth or whatever and whatnot, and blotting out the sun and shit, that's legitimately what they're trying to do. It's literally the same shit as the Army of the Dead, the White Walkers in the Game of Thrones. If you think about it, they also want a world that is completely black. That's their goal, is to have no sun, right? That is their ultimate goal, is to like rule the earth, like rule the kingdoms and whatnot and shit and all that, and have darkness, right? That is their ultimate goal. It's the same shit with Sauron and Mordor and the dark forces, except they actually want political gain too. Like they want power. They want to enslave people and shit. You know what I mean? They want tyranny. So I just think that it's interesting because I feel like I'm gonna cut myself short here. I feel like episode 5 and 6 are really episodes where people who fell out and they dropped off the series after an episode or 2 or 3 and whatnot and said fuck it, if they just stuck around and whatnot and like kept it real and give it a chance, by the time you get to episode 5, even episode 4, by the time you get to episode 5 and 6, the momentum of the series swings, the energy changes. It gets the overall entertainment value of these episodes it's a hella better. It's really improving from episode to episode. Now there's momentum going. You know what I mean? I'm actually excited to see episode 7. I am. For the first time in the series, I'm excited to see it. To see what happens, because they're showing us stuff where we know action's coming. Like we know there's going to be conflict, right? We've already seen people being killed. We've already seen battle now. Well, we haven't yet on a review series, but you know what I'm saying, Cyber.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
I know what you mean. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that you're thinking that the stranger is Sauron.
No. That's not the Sauron. Now, I have no idea who the freaking stranger is. I don't. Honestly, I have no clue. I don't believe he's Sauron at all. It makes no sense. If he was Sauron, he'd be doing something. He'd be giving you hints or clues in some way and whatnot that he's not what he looks or whatever. I don't believe he's manipulating the halflings. Poppy's family or whatever and whatnot. I don't believe that's what's going on. I think he legitimately probably is. I don't know what he is, but whatever he is, he's on the side of good, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever powers he has and whatnot, whatever form of life he used to have, it was done as an agent of good.
Yep.
He just has no idea who he is. I think he probably maybe experienced some type of amnesia, right? Because of the demasculization he experienced from watching She-Hulk, probably. And at that point, he just doesn't know who the fuck he is anymore.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
All right. So that was a great little talk there about that sequence. That was really great. Those wolves, very interesting stuff there. Really nice. So as we move on through the episode, the next sequence, basically, we have Osterith and Waldrick having a conversation. And basically, the latter basically convinces the other ones to, leave and join Adar. Basically, Theo ends up choosing to remain in Osterith, even though, Adar wants, to go to Adar. And we have this kind of interesting, like, little conversation. We have, like, this kind of sequence where they're like, we got to get up in arms and all this kind of good stuff. And we have these several people kind of like saying, oh, no, we shouldn't do that. We should, stick to the path, this kind of deal. And we have to find out that kind of that relationship of how the people are there in that town and kind of like where their minds are and kind of like who kind of is trying to figure out the best thing to do for the city. And the others are just kind of like leave it as it is, basically. So after that sequence, which was I think a really great sequence, I think there was a lot of great conversation in that sequence. I thought there was a lot of great like visuals with the city and stuff like that, which I thought were really done well. And I definitely think that there was some significance to a few of the characters in that sequence too, as well. That I feel we'll see later on in the episodes. I feel that that's going to come into play with these characters. So I think that's going to be interesting to see. So as we get to Isildur, Isildur confronts his father over not being chosen to join the expeditionary force. We have that great sequence. Basically he asked him, why wasn't I chosen? This and that kind of deal. And then the father, of course, gives his explanation, saying, "You really don't deserve it. You don't do anything to really show that you want to be a part of it." And this kind of deal, and you're kind of like, this. You're just not the material that they're looking for. Basically, is what he basically says. Um, and then after their conversation, that's when Helebrand accuses Gadriel of using him and ripping off his necklace and asking to be left alone. That was a really great sequence too. There, we basically Gadriel, she comes in and she's like speaking to the queen, telling her, that this person would be perfect for this, and has him come in, and, like, he kind of explains some things, and then, basically they kind of leave it at where we're not sure what was going on. We don't know if he's actually going to do it for them, but that's where it's left off. And they have that conversation basically, and he basically accuses her of being, like she's using him and she basically says, "Yes, I am, because in order to further my cause to get Sauron, to destroy Sauron for killing my brother, type of deal. And I need you to assist me, basically." And then she, of course, tries to kind of like sugarcoat things to get him to agree and stuff like that. And it doesn't really work out for her at that point anyways. So we get that sequence there. Then we got such a great sequence. So before we move on to that sequence, let's talk a little bit about those key sequences I just talked about. What were your thoughts on those key sequences between the conversation at the ostrich, or however you say it, and that sequence with Gadriel and Hellbrand, and then also that little sequence between the father and son about him not getting into the army? Was there anything about that you found interesting, or was there anything that maybe you caught that you found that was significant to that sequence or to the story?
What was the other? I know what you're talking about with Isildur and Elendil and whatever and everything and whatnot, and of course the other scene too, with the town and Bronwyn and whatnot and everything and all that. What was the other scene you were talking about?
Galadriel and Halbrand.
Oh, okay, yes.
That sequence where they're kind of like in that room there, and they're trying to set out like a battle plan. She has them come in with the queen there, and basically they have like a little conversation, like he's using her, yes, or she's using him.
Basically, I think that oh, hey Josh, how you doing, hon? It's good to see you. Thank you as always for your support, hon. It's good to see you back in the comment section and whatnot, and hear us with me and Cyber. But bottom line, I think that I didn't get anything at all out of the Isildur Elendil the dynamic or whatever and whatnot. It really did not captivate me at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really didn't have any impact with me personally, like in terms of like how I felt about the episode. I didn't feel like it really fit anything really, or like added anything to anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even sure where it's going, to be honest with you. I don't even really, I'm not sure if they're trying to add another element to the series, to the story, where now there's going to be some kind of family internal struggle or some shit, or I have no clue. But basically, look, you in a series you could only have so many like stereotypical, obvious, pure ethical, like, type dynamics going on in one series. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't go that in that direction too far. It gets to a point where it's oversaturation. and the shit gets it's stupid. You know what I mean? It is. It's seriously. You know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
So that's all I'm saying is like, like, come on now. Let's have some more people getting killed. You know what I mean? And like battle and shit and whatnot, some crazy shit. Show us some magic or something, Let's have a sex scene or something. Let's have some titties. Those are always positive. Anyways, I mean, I'd love to see Bronwyn's titties. I'll tell you right now, she's hot as hell. And she's also probably my favorite female character in the show. I think she's actually better than Galadriel, the actress and the character. At least I actually find her authentic. I don't find Galadriel authentic at times. I don't. It's almost like she's forced. She's almost like forcing it, when she's acting that, in some of the scenes. But either way, she just sounds flat, right? In some of the scenes where they want her to be profound and inspiring, she doesn't deliver it that way. I don't get that vibe from her, right? The tone doesn't, it doesn't reflect to me like, that type of vibe. If anything, it almost feels like kind of dull.
Well, I think that comes down to that, she's presenting as an elf. Don't forget, elves are very high on themselves. They're very sophisticated. So I feel that's what that vibe is, and why it seems dull or like that is because she is very high-minded or very conceited when it comes to what she's saying. So that comes off sometimes as dull or boring to us that aren't conceited or feeling that way.
They're also very dispassionate. They're not like men or dwarves. Yeah. Like they're not greedy. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when they are unethical, it's usually typically only in order to protect their race. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, it's about their survival and like what's good for them at the end of the day, And let's be honest here. You can't blame them for that to some extent, right? Like you can and you can't, but like at least you understand. They don't have the same emotional instabilities and like the same impulsivity issues and like natural natures that the dwarves do or that men do that can allow them to be swayed to evil and whatnot and all that. It's not that they're as pure as snow. It's that they're, like you said, they're very intelligent. They're very intellectual. They're very logical. That for them, time goes by very slowly because they live forever. You know what I mean? Like again, look at Elrond and Durin, and how like for Elrond, 20 years was like nothing, right? To Durin, it was like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I haven't seen you in 20 years, bro. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. You know that like I literally transitioned into a woman and then came back to being a man and a dwarf at that point in time? Shit, man. That's how long it's been.
Wow. Weird.
That's right. You didn't know that dwarves are actually, they're LGBT too?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Awesome. Right. Well, thank you.
Anyway,
all right.
No, hold on. So no, but as far as
no, you hold on.
Hold on.
This is my show, bitch.
There was one more scene. As far as
is there really
the stranger, right? Was that what was the other one?
No, so there was once again the Gadriel and Halbrand scene. Then we had the sequence where the son and the father have their conversation about why he doesn't get into the arms. And then before that was the city scene with Ostrith.
Okay. And the city scene, so here's as far as the city scene goes, this I don't like. I'll be honest with you. I'm not happy with the way that they went about it. I like the insurgent deal. I like the fact that guy actually was like, no, fuck you, fuck that. We're not gonna fight these people. Like that's stupid. It's illogical. Like we should bend the knee and just give up and leave these lands and be down with Saran or whatever and whatnot. That's the smart thing to do. And he sways all the other people and whatnot, right? If they would have kept on going with that, because I mean, look, they've been building that up and whatnot, and they've had him saying things and whatnot, and making these kind of comments from here and there, to where you wondered, did this guy flat out aligned with Saran and the dark forces and shit? Is he possibly even a secret agent or something? Maybe, spreading dissatisfaction or like fear or whatever amongst the populace or something. Well, no. Instead of like him being something cool like that, like something more deceitful and like more intelligent or whatever and interesting, like an insurgent or something, and whatever. He ends up just being some weak ass dude that's a pussy or whatever. You know what I mean? And shit, and like literally is stupid. You know what I mean? And doesn't grasp that like when he goes to Adar and bends his knee and is like, I swear allegiance to Saran. Of course they're gonna make you kill somebody or they're gonna kill you. You know what I mean? Or you're gonna get fucking enslaved. What do you expect? Like that's what's gonna happen. Like I mean, come on now. So basically, at that point, he's a fucking idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what did he accomplish? You know what I'm saying? Like he just looks like a clown. So as usual, this would have been more interesting if he would have been something else, like something more, I don't know, complicated or sinister. But then either way, long story short, bottom line, as far as the other scene goes, again, the dynamic between Galadriel and Halbrand doesn't really fantasize me at times that much, but at the same time, I think it's very clear that whoever the hell Halbrand really is, which I again don't know, he's not whoever the fuck she thinks he is. He's not.
All right. Interesting. Halbrand's not who he says he is. That's interesting. I think that's a good valid point. I think that there's more to Halbrand than meets the eye. Most definitely, I would agree there.
They're giving hints. There's giving. They have that. You've noticed it, Cyber. They've dropped a couple of very subtle hints here and there and whatnot in the past couple episodes that there's something going on with him.
Well, I mean, just the fact in that the scene we're talking about when he says leave him alone and gives her the necklace. I mean, that right there is a telltale sign. So, I mean, yeah, it's very obvious there's more to him that meets the eye. And, we're yet to see it, but it'll be interesting to see what it is eventually.
Yes.
All right. So the next sequence we come up to, which is I think one of my favorite sequences of this episode, is when Gadriel spars with the group of soldiers and basically teaches them how to fight the orcs and basically fight. And this sequence I think is just really cool. I love how she like shows them like just how swordsman-esque she is, and like she's how many years she's been around. She knows how to battle, and just like the two guys that are like trying to go at her and stuff like that, and she just keeps like deflecting and stuff, was just so cool. And I just really enjoyed it, and I thought that she did a good job of bringing that to life as well herself, and gives this just really good kind of like action sequence that gives you a little bit of history of fighting, but at the same time gives you some just kind of fun scene to kind of go from all that kind of drama that we just got through to then giving us like this nice little action sequence that we get there. So while that's happening, meanwhile there's Kevin attempts to convince Farazan to cancel the expedition of Middle Earth, but of course Farazan disagrees. And they end up seeing there's a potential in turning to the Southlands for a tributary state after its liberation, which basically they kind of discuss how there's like this other kind of clan that they feel that could come in handy to helping them out in their fight against Sauron, basically. And that, they could come in handy too down the line if they have to fight anybody else as well. And then after that little sequence where they are discussing that, and Farazan disagrees and stuff like that, we have Tarplinter warns Morel not to go to Middle Earth, which I thought was kind of an interesting little sequence to itself. I mean, it's not very long, but it's actually pretty I thought poignant to this episode, and kind of poignant to further down in the episodes as we go. Where this will probably come around and bite them in the ass, basically, it kind of deal where, that there's a good reason why I'm saying not to go there, because they know something's amiss that is going to cause them basically to lose. And I think that's a foreshadowing of what to come. So then basically we end up moving on. We go to High King Galad, and basically he ends up revealing he knows the existence of Mithril, which is where the light from Similar is. Then basically we end up they end up finding out and reuniting the light of the Eldar in this in this scene. If the elves wish to remain in Middle Earth, they have to basically light this, which I thought that was kind of an interesting sequence too, as well, because you kind of Eldar. The light of Eldar, I should say, something that I don't recall hearing in the previous films or the Hobbit films, or even in the uh, any of the books or anything like that. So I think this is interesting little new concept that they're talking about here. That this Eldar is actually like a big deal, because basically the light of Eldar is what's keeping the elves alive. Basically, that's what allows them to have the longevity they have. Basically, and in order to stay in Middle Earth, they need that to be working too as well. And that's kind of what this sequence goes over. And so then as it moves on, we have Elrond passes the information to Durin, letting him know about this, tell him that, the elven race's fate is in reuniting this light, basically, and that, that they need the help from the dwarves to help them, keep living, basically. And basically we end up finding out that Durin agrees to help him, that he's going to help them and to be able to reignite this light of Eldar. And basically, they both end up returning to Casadad Dum to convince King Durin, Durin's father, to, help out too as well. So let's talk a little bit about that little sequence there. So we just talked about. So basically, we have the sequence where Gadriel teaches the knights how to fight and to kill orcs. Then we have the sequence where Farazan is asked about, basically the expedition to Middle Earth and not to do it. Then we move on to, basically Tara Planter warns Muriel about Middle Earth and what's going on there. Then we find out about the Eldar, the light of Eldar, and that's basically what's keeping the elves alive. And then we talked about that conversation between Durin and Elrond about getting help to basically survive and live and keep the elf race going. So what were your thoughts on that whole sequence there, sir? What were your thoughts? Was there anything that you found interesting? Was there anything that that you feel is poignant, or is there anything that maybe that somebody might like to know about?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think that I think it's interesting that there is some politics being played out amongst the elves, right, and the dwarves and whatnot and everything, and that we're seeing that the elves are not this pure snow overall. Like, they're not the most ethical beings in history and whatnot and shit. Some of them are actually like somewhat like bad people, and like some of them aren't. They're not greedy, but some of them are like selfish. You know what I mean? And they don't care about other races at all, really. Like they have no empathy. So they just don't give a shit. And they're willing to lie and manipulate people, and just like anybody, to get what they want at the end of the day. And so, like, Elrond, unfortunately, at this point in his his lifespan as an elf, however many hundreds of years that he's been alive, is still young, right? And at that point, he's naive, and he's conflicted. You know what I'm saying? Like, being an elf, like, you're a part of a people where you're already kind of despised to begin with by by other races and whatnot and everything. And you already do feel not only like aloof and like, better than the other races, but at the same time, you also feel sort of not a part of the team in a way. You know what I mean? Like, like you only work with like men and dwarves and shit and whatnot if like it absolutely has to happen. And you got to fight wars and shit and whatnot. Other than that, it's like, yo, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. So at that point, I was surprised. I did not anticipate that Gil-galad would end up being a not so, super great character as far as like his, being a good guy and whatnot. I didn't grasp right from jump that he like literally was anything but just if anything, just a regular king, like that had, mostly good intentions and whatnot, and just wanted to see his people do the best they can and whatnot, right? I don't know. You tell me, Cyber. Do you think that this light shit is just made up? And it's like a ruse? You know what I'm saying? And literally, like, they're just using it as a vehicle to kind of like lie and con Elrond, into conning the dwarves.
I mean, it could be. I don't know yet. My feeling on it at this moment with episode 5, from episode 1 to 5 so far. I mean, this being the first episode to really talk about it. I don't feel there's anything that construed it to be not real, but at the same time, you never know. It could be something that is being made up to, basically, take advantage of the dwarves or of the elves or of other classes. This could be something that the dark orcs are a part of, and they made up the story to use to help get them advantage into Middle Earth or something like that. So I mean, there's a lot of things that it could be, but at this moment, I think, personally, from what I've seen in this episode, I don't foresee it being false. I think that this is a real thing at this time.
I do think it's possible. I didn't mention this earlier. I do think it's very possible that there are elves that are not greedy, but that do like nice things. You know what I'm saying? And like that do enjoy having wealth, right? And like having like, the best of the best, and having like, nice furniture, you know what I mean? And like, nice art, you know what I mean? And stuff like that and whatnot, the best materials, used and built in their shit, you know what I mean? Type stuff, right? I believe that there are elves that have that mentality, especially royalty, or like higher up type, status ones. They probably do desire to have like a better house or whatever, you know what I mean? And like, or whatever, better shit than other elves and stuff like that. Just because they're elves doesn't mean that they don't have jealousy in them, and stuff like that. They're not capable of any of that stuff. I think that whatever they want with the mithril, besides the fact that obviously we know that it's great for like, weapons and for armor and shit and whatnot, which we don't even know that yet, right? In this series, we don't know that. Besides that, I'm thinking that there's got to be some other use that the elves want with it, the mithril. Like, besides the light thing and whatnot and everything. There's some other reason they want it. What it is, I don't know. But in general, I don't know this for a fact, of course, but I'm just saying, my opinion is that I think that in a way, I felt like Gil-galad and Celebrimbor are basically just kind of manipulating Elrond and playing him, and playing his relationship and playing off his emotions, his relationship with Durin and whatnot and everything, and his love for the dwarves. They're using him, for information, tactically, you know what I mean? And they're like, they're using leverage against him in a way. They're like saying to you, if we don't get the mithril, we have to leave Middle Earth, right? We have to. And at that point, if we're not here, the dwarves and men are dead. They're done, right? It's over. Like we're the only thing that's in the way from complete destruction, complete darkness. At that point, he doesn't have much of a choice in a way, but like kind of, again, it's a conflicting situation for Elrond. He doesn't, he loves his friend Durin, and he tries to be, he tries to do the right thing, and says flat out, I will not tell you, whatever you want to hear because of like my oath, which I thought very, very highly of. I did. I think that's one of the really nice and like positive aspects of the show so far is the friendship between Durin and Elrond and its genuineness. You know what I'm saying? Like, the genuine affection they have for each other. I think it's great. It really is nice to see. Now, besides that, I guess if I remember correctly from that part of the episode, I think the only other thing I can really think of that I would want to just mention would just be that there's that scene with Ador and the orc where Ador talks about how you know, I don't know if did you feel like he was conflicted a little bit at like looking at the sun and the sunrise and saying that like this is going to be one of my last times ever, you know, being able to experience this or whatever and whatnot for my old life?
No.
Oh, okay. So you think it was more like, I'm glad this part of my life's over. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm ready for the darkness.
No, I think it's more like there's going to be more to it than what was meant in that sequence. I think that he was kind of just generally saying it to kind of just like not fully explain it to who he was talking to, because he wanted to keep them in the dark. He doesn't want them to fully know his full like reason behind it. I think, like I said, I think there's more to him. I think there's more to Adar and his cause. So I think that's more of what that was.
Yeah, I get the vibe that Ador actually has individual goals. Like if you haven't noticed yet, you don't hear him talking heavily a lot about his allegiance to Saran or like praising Saran, you know what I mean, or whatever, you know, Saran's the man, you know what I mean? You don't see him saying any of that shit, right? So at that point, I mean, if he's supposed to be like the lieutenant, Saran's lieutenant or some shit like that or whatever, right? Whatever, you know, whatever position he has, you'd think that you'd hear him praise him once in a while, or you know, something like that. But he doesn't do that. All he ever talks about is himself, and you know, at that point, I'm not sure what his motivations are or his goals or whatever and whatnot. Maybe he wants to supplant Saran, right? Or something. Who knows? Maybe he differs with Saran in opinion as far as like how things should be done in Middle Earth. Maybe he even wants to do worse shit than Saran wants to do, right? Like more evil shit than Saran wants to do. Like he thinks Saran's a pussy, basically. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but either way, he's a good character, you know, and that actor does a really good job. If they play him right and whatnot and everything, and they make, you know, they keep on keeping him strong and everything, he can end up being a really solid character.
Agreed. I agree there. I think he could be. It's a very, very strong character, most definitely.
He's brought a big impact to the series ever since he's popped in.
Most definitely. Most definitely. I mean, I feel he's kind of what they're giving us for Saran at the moment, I feel, until we actually get Saran in the picture, I think he's kind of like his lackey. I think he's his like henchman.
Saran better be fucking impressive, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you right now when we get him.
So far, they're doing pretty good with their characters, so hopefully he should be. I mean, I think Amazon's doing a great job with this series so far, so I think that'll be a key. I mean, look what they're doing with these other characters. I think they're doing pretty good. So I foresee Saran being a good choice, whoever they choose, and especially because we really don't have much to go on for Saran, like other actors.
That's my point. I've never seen anybody actually on screen represented as like the full Saran image you think of from the books, where he has like his uniform on and shit and whatnot, and he's like huge. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? He's like a demon and shit. You know?
Yeah, we're not going to get that Saran at first. We're going to get the
human
person,
Saran.
Person that turns into Saran first.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be surprised to see not full on Saran at first, because that won't be until the end of the series when it's supposed to connect to, you know, Lord of the Rings itself.
No, Cyber. That's my point. When we actually get full on Saran, I want to see. Yeah. I want to see him look awesome.
Yeah. I'm sure he will. All right. So moving on. So we get to the sequence where Kemen, son of Pharazôn, attempts to destroy the ships that he believes that Gadriel is going to be using in Meryl to take, you know, basically to take out and to use in their battle. And he thinks that if he does this, basically that will allow Farazan to rise to power with the people's support. And basically that's kind of what he's thinking. Like, that's, if I do this, like, cause this kind of strife, that will help, his father get into power. But as we find out, that really doesn't work out to his advantage. But anyways, so then Isildor, who has stood away on one of the ships, we end up finding him catching Cayman and preventing the drowning after the explosions. Or the destruction, I should say, not drowning. I don't know why I said drowning. Preventing the destruction of the ships and the boats and stuff like that. Basically, also saving. That's why I was saying.
Mega Doo-Doo. I'm sorry.
Yes, DD Mega Doo-Doo. And after he basically saves Cayman from drowning, basically, that he defers everything from him causing his father to get into power, which is really great. But it's a really good sequence. I feel it's a really good action sequence. We get a lot of great visuals of the boats and the ocean and all that kind of cool stuff, which I thought was really cool. And some really great explosions too, I feel. And then once they basically get back to shore after he saved Cayman from drowning, he questions him and basically lies about the Cayman sabotage, which, really, did you not see that coming? Come on, people. I mean, it's obvious. He's not going to tell the truth after he's caught, because he's evil. That's the whole purpose of him. He's supposed to be evil. And so I think that scene was very, very interesting, because, like, as he's questioning him, you could see it in his eyes. Just like, he wasn't saying anything truthful, but that at the same time, he was like trying to present it like he was like, oh, it just happened to happen, like that type of deal. And that's the kind of feeling I got from the whole sequence. And, after, he questioned about the sabotage, stuff like that, Isildur receives a spot on the actual expedition cruise, which is kind of cool, because, like, I mean, he already proved that he's, awesome, and that he can help out and keep things from happening. So I think this is really cool as well. So after he gets accepted, that's when Gadriel apologizes to Halbrand and convinces them to appear again, appear in front of the council next morning, which was really cool. I think that sequence there, I think it was really well conceived. I thought it was really well done too. I enjoyed their conversation, and I felt that she did a better job of conveying more emotions in the scene versus what she's done in the previous scenes, when she's had to try to kind of give her, kind of her emotions a little bit, because, like we said before, also because they're so high-minded, they really don't show their emotions to it like humans do, or like dwarfs do, and stuff like that. So I feel that she did a good job of, kind of leaving that elf thinking behind and kind of trying to think more like a human, which is what Hildebrand is, or Halbrand, and basically giving him kind of more of an apology he would be looking for. And I think that was really poignant in that scene. I thought that it was delivered very well. So talking a little bit about those sequences, basically the sabotage of the boat, the questioning of the saboteur, and then Galadriel basically, apologized, convincing Halbrand to help out. What were your thoughts on those sequences, Sir Jeff?
Well, I'm telling you, I think it's very possible that with Galadriel, she is just sexually frustrated at the end of the day. And her lack of passion has to do with the fact that, as to be able to really experience her real, true elven femininity, she needs to get smashed properly. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, the elf dudes, you know what I'm saying, are so intelligent and like high-minded and whatnot and everything, and like above everybody, that the concept of just like beating some shit up real quick is beyond them. You know what I mean? Like, it's above them. So, at that point, Galadriel, like, what I'm saying, hasn't been smashed in like 1700 years. Dude, that's rough, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's a rough patch. I mean, there's no sex toys back then, except for like rocks and sticks and shit. You know what I'm saying? Or some combination of the two. So, at that point, Unless you want to go manual, she's hurt. She's hurting, man. You know what I'm saying? She's got that same thing going on that Wanda had going on before WandaVision, right? With Vision having no penis. So I'm telling you, it's all about love, baby. You know what I'm saying? We need men. Society needs men. Women need men. Believe it or not. But no, basically I'd say that the sabotage of the boat scene and whatnot and everything, I was confused to some extent because I couldn't tell if he was trying to stow away because he wanted to sneak and like be a part of like the mission. You know what I'm saying at first, or if he really was trying to sabotage the boat because he was kind of like fighting with the other guy, right? With the lamp. That's when the fire starts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell if he was purposely trying to burn the boat down or if like legitimately he just accidentally did it, like out of, I don't know, like trying to run away, like not wanting to get caught for stowing away or whatever. So I was confused. I won't lie. And maybe Syra, I don't know. Maybe, you tell me. Was he purposely in there to try to sabotage the boat?
Yes.
Okay, so he was. All right.
Yeah, because the sequence that leads up to that, it shows him talking to his father about it, that he wanted to sabotage the boats.
Yeah. So again, I don't know where they're going with this whole angle. I have no idea, right? I grasp Isildur's presence and like the fact that he connects to Lord of the Rings and whatnot, and that makes him important. I get it. And at the same time, I'm not really sure I grasp what their intention is here with this dynamic, like where they're going with this whole inner family deal, the father-son deal that's going on or whatever this is about. We already know he's not going to turn evil now or whatever, like it doesn't happen now. So at that point, I'm not really sure where this is going. I don't see, I don't see this. It doesn't do anything for me. I mean, why did he want to sabotage the boat? Just because he's pissed off that he can't be on the front lines? So at that point, he would sabotage the entire mission or whatever and whatnot, and like let Middle Earth be fucked and whatnot. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? He's like selfish? I mean, like, I don't know. I thought Isildur was like a great person or whatever and whatnot, until he actually kept the ring, right? In the beginning of Lord of the Rings, and it corrupted him. So I don't know. I'm confused by the whole thing. As far as the questioning and whatnot and everything, again, that didn't do really much for me either. I wasn't really, it didn't really invigorate me. I didn't notice anything I would really mention. What happens right after that again?
After what?
Or what prefaces that? What was the other? What was the scene before that, or what was the one after that?
So Farazan and Kemen, who's the son, basically it goes from them talking about destroying the ships, goes to Kemen being on the ships, trying to destroy them, him being stopped and saved by what's his name, and then it goes to Galadriel and Halbrand and them having their conversation, her apologizing and convincing him to come to the meeting the next morning.
Yeah. Now again, I believe that during that part you're talking about, don't we also get some talking or like a scene where we also get not just Isildur but Valandil, the guy who becomes lieutenant or whatever and whatnot by wounding Galadriel? Or is that later on?
I don't recall that sequence.
Okay. So basically,
that might be in episode 6. I don't recall that.
Okay. So basically, we are talking about though where they have like that heated discussion among the council, right? Before Halbrand and like Galadriel then talk, and she asks him and says to him, "I need your help."
That was way before. We talked about that already.
Oh, my bad. Shit, my bad. Oh, okay. So as far as like, go ahead.
We're at the sequence where she apologizes,
Yes.
which will be towards the end of the episode.
Okay. So again, I feel like the dynamic between Galadriel and Halbrand is sort of like not that like profound or whatever. I don't get anything from it. I believe the whole premise of it is fake. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not whoever the hell Galadriel thinks he is, the king of the Southlands or whatever and whatnot. Like, it's not who he is. You know, at least he does not demonstrate himself as like the type that would ever have been a king or has been a king. You know what I mean? Like that he's acting contradictory to that. You know, every opportunity he gets to like stand up and like show some valor and some mirth, you know, which is pretty much at that point in this universe, like in the Tolkien universe, at this time period, good men, real men, stand up and like like prove like their mirth and you know what I'm saying and their and their integrity and shit. That's how it is. And like every opportunity he gets, he doesn't do shit, right? Or he doesn't give a fuck. He's like he doesn't care. He's all defeated and everything and whatnot. And I don't believe his backstory either. I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe it. I don't believe that, like, his people were displaced or whatever and whatnot and all that crap. And he's like a refugee and shit. I don't believe that at all. I think if anything, he's like a secret agent of some kind. You know what I mean? Like he's an agent of some other cause or something. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just something about him. I don't know. I'm not saying he's evil or whatever and whatnot or whatever. Or I don't know what his ambitions are, but whatever he's trying to do, he's not trying to do anything to be productive and like actually be a team player in terms of what Galadriel's goals are, right? That's obvious. You know what I'm saying? So, and at the same time, too, I'm sorry to say it, and I think you would agree too, Cyber. Overall, their dynamic during their scenes one-on-one is dry. It doesn't really have a lot of emotion to it. I don't know if there's supposed to be some kind of romantic angle there, or at least like the suspicion of one. But I don't get anything out of like that going on at all. Like I'm not really sure where the fuck they are with each other, like how they feel about each other. You see what I'm saying? Like there is no, I don't feel anything there.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that there's supposed to be some sort of romantic relationship down the road with them. I feel that they're loosely trying to pick at it, but I get where you're coming from, where you feel there's no emotion, and yeah, I feel definitely that there's not a lot of emotion involved when they are discussing things or fighting, whatever. Most definitely on her side, but at the same time, I think that's kind of playing into the type of people they are, and I think that's just how they are. Once again, going back to her being an elf and him being, I think he's been surrounded by elves his whole life, and we just don't know that. I think that he has a history with elves previously that hasn't been talked about, and I think that's kind of they rubbed off on him, and that's kind of why he has a disdain for her, but at the same time has sexual interest in her, is because of that he finds elves attractive, but I think he's had something bad happen with elves in the past. And I think that's kind of something like that's going to come out eventually about, that's kind of that secret thing has to do something with elves, I think, eventually. And that's
I don't think he is really a man. I don't think he is really like of men. I think he is a character of some ability, like some capability, power wise and whatnot and everything, influence wise. I don't think he is actually a man. I think that he's something special, like something magical or something, or like maybe he could be Saran. I don't fucking know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if Saran starts as a man, then like you don't know. He could be Saran. You know what I'm saying? I don't think fucking the stranger is Saran. That makes no sense.
No, I definitely don't think the stranger is Saran. I still am thinking that he is what's his name?
Gandalf.
No, not Gandalf.
Oh,
the other one. The Earth one that was in The Hobbit.
Oh, the one with the freaking really hard to pronounce name.
Yes, yes. I think that's who he really is. And we just haven't I think that this was his form before he became exactly what we're used to seeing him as. Because I think that's from years and years of him kind of getting more into his powers and stuff like that. So I think that Brownfoot or whatever his name is, I think a lot of people, or I've mentioned it, and my guy I work with, we talk about it. He thinks that it's him too, and I have a really hard fit. I have a good feeling that it is because everything that we've seen of him has been very Earth related, and that character is all about the Earth. So I think that's what this character really is, and we're seeing kind of the foundation of who he is.
Radagast the Brown. And this is
Yes.
the thing with that, Cyber, is this. Is it also possible that is it possible at all that maybe the only reason why you're seeing everything he's doing having to do with the Earth and and natural things like water and whatnot and everything, could that also just be because of the fact that again he doesn't even know what the hell he's doing? You know what I'm saying? And so he's basically just figuring out how to use his powers almost again or for the first time, and so he's just doing the most rudimentary things he can find. You know what I'm saying? Like ways to do things
No.
in terms of no.
I don't think so. No, I think that there's too many earth elements that are helping him heal, especially in this sequence at the very beginning where he's using the ice to heal his arm. I'm sorry, even if you're learning your powers, I don't think he would be able to do that if he was just learning how to use his powers. That to me shows that he has some sort of earth elements to him, and that just reflects very much Radagast the Brown. And I think, if he's not ends up being somebody else, that's fine. Like, he couldn't be Radagast Brown. I don't know. That's just an assumption we're taking on this just because of all the things we've seen so far about this character. But I definitely don't think he's Gandalf. There's no suggestion he's Gandalf. And this guy is way too young, or this guy was around way too long before Gandalf was around. Because Gandalf is old, but he is not that old like an elf. He's like only like in his 200s or 300s when we meet him in Lord of the Rings. So definitely it can't be Gandalf, or it could be an ancestor. That is very possible. But at the same time, I think the most logical reason is because Radagast is so old. That's the reason, kind of the reason why I'm pointing towards that direction.
As soon as the mystics realize the stranger isn't Sauron, they label him an Istar. With this label and several other hints throughout the episode of the season. Now, I think this is episode 8 or 9, or just 8 or whatever. The Rings of Power has all but confirmed that the stranger is everyone's favorite wizard, Gandalf the Grey.
And who says that?
Mashable.
Who the hell is Mashable?
Mashable.com, entertainment website.
Okay. Well,
okay. Game Radar. That's a legit one.
Okay.
Let's see. The stranger identity of the Rings of Power has been revealed. Thanks to one key line. Blah blah blah. The Rings of Power season finale now revealed the identity of Sauron, which I'm not even going to go far enough to even read that. I don't even want to know yet. But one key line and other scattered pieces of dialogue has shown that the stranger is a very familiar face indeed. No, the stranger, Daniel Wayman is the actor, is not Sauron, Saruman, or even Radagast the Brown. While it is revealed in the season finale that the stranger is an Ishtari, otherwise known as a wizard, one line clues even further to the stranger's identity. Blah, blah, blah. Stranger, having regained fragments of his memories, tells Nori, when in doubt, always follow your nose. Sound familiar? That line is said by Gandalf in the Fellowship of the Ring to Merry. There you go. Bottom line. Bam.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I still don't agree with it. That doesn't prove anything just because he says that line. I mean, if they officially don't say that he's Gandalf in the episode, they don't say it like he says his name. I don't care what that says.
Oh, they could be wrong, but they do say then. Now the show has outright confirmed the stranger is Gandalf. But the Ishtar link and the Fellowship callback means we're about 99% sure the fan theory has come true.
Yeah, man. Still don't agree.
So no, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Honestly, it's very possible that the Stranger could actually be Lord Deathman. Like his real Lord Deathman's real identity is the fucking Stranger in Rings of Power.
It could be a hippie chick. Who knows?
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep. Lord Deathman time travels back to the Rings of Power period, and like he's the Stranger.
Yeah. Well, when I see an official thing from Amazon Studios saying he is Gandalf, then I'll believe it. But not from some. I don't care who these accredited people are. I want to see 100% proof from Amazon.
I never said they were accredited. Don't get me wrong. Now,
I'm not saying you said they were accredited. I'm just saying that. Who cares?
Yeah, I don't care either. I mean, it'd be cool as fuck if he was Gandalf. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather him be Gandalf than Saruman. You know what I'm saying? But I don't care. It's not going to make or break how I feel about the series at the end of the day. Yeah. I've seen enough Gandalf. Although I will tell you this, folks. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. There's actually a YouTuber that does absolutely excellent comedic spoof videos about the Rings of Power episodes and whatnot and everything, where he features essentially Gandalf and what's his name? Michael Biehn, that played Boromir from Lord of the Rings. And I don't know, I think it's like Baby Elrond or some shit. As all three of them in like a living room, like talking shit to each other and whatnot, and like making jokes and everything and whatnot about the Rings of Power, and it's funny as hell. And it is called Got it. It is called Gandalf Roast Rings of Power, Episode 8. Charlie Hopkinson is a YouTuber. It's funny as shit.
Cool.
There you go, folks. Supporting other YouTube creators every day.
Awesome. All right. So to finish off this episode, and then we're going to get into the Ant-Man Quantumanium trailer. So basically we have Waldreg, while he was disappointed that, he's that Adar isn't Sauron, he still chooses to serve him. We find that out that even though he's not what the high power he thought he was, he still decides to serve him, which I think is cool. And to confirm his loyalty, basically he ends up, Adar orders him to kill Rowan.
I apologize.
God. Anyways, so then all of a sudden Theo shows Aragorn the sword, and then after Theo reveals that to Aragorn, he reveals that the sword was a key used to enslave the Southlanders. So that special sword we've seen him use, Theo, throughout the episodes, is actually a weapon of kind of mass destruction kind of deal. It's been used to do some very bad things, and it's kind of funny how this kind of good kid has it in his possession, is able to use it. So I think that's kind of interesting. Then we find out that Browin debates siding with Adar, which to save the Southlanders. Adar marches towards Ostirith. So basically, kind of we get that kind of end sequence where it shows Adar and him kind of making up his mind what to do, and he ends up basically deciding to go towards Ostirith and takes his orc, army with him. Then basically the episode ends with Halbrand deciding to go with the Expeditionary Force, and then Numeron Expeditionary Force departs the Middle Earth. So we actually get to see the ships kind of starting to sail away, which is really cool. So basically that's how the episode ends. So the ending of the episode, sir. What were your thoughts on how that ended, with the ships going off to battle, with Adar marching towards Ostirith, with kind of that information about the sword, and kind of what was your final thoughts of the episode as well?
Well, I love Arondir. I think he's great. I think he's probably one of the best elements, if not the best element of the entire series, is probably Arondir. It really is. He is excellent. The actor is great that plays him. He's very good. I really enjoy his lines. He performs them very well. And in general, I'm loving him completely as a character in the series every time I see him. And in this episode, we don't get much of him at all. We barely see him or hear him, which is okay. It happens, right? I mean, it's going to happen, in a series. But basically, I also enjoy the relationship with Aaron Deere and Bronwyn. I do. I like it. I think it's very like authentic and like very old fashioned, and like it's good. It has goodness in it. You know what I mean? It's like real. It's genuine. So I do find that like cool. I do. I dig it. And I like Bronwyn in general. I think she's great. So as far as the ending of the episode goes, basically, I mean, I feel like it was almost like a no doubter to me that they'd be able to convince Muriel, right, and get the Numenorians to support defending Middle Earth, right? I think that essentially, again, I felt like it was inevitable, right? I mean, Elendil almost is like chopping at the bit to like go fight and shit in Middle Earth and whatnot. Like he's ready to rock and roll. He's a warrior, like he's not afraid of a fight, you know what I mean? Like he's like, just tell me where to go. You know what I mean? Like I'm ready to rock and roll. So at the end of the day, I don't think that they've done, maybe this is purposeful. They have not given us an impression at all or displayed to us at all the actual depth and like largeness and the of the world that's going to be affected. The populace is going to be affected by Saran and by the dark forces. Like the impact of like what would happen if they won, right, against the forces of good. They haven't really given us or presented to us the scale of all this. You know what I mean? Everything is very, very centered around a small section of Middle Earth and a small group of people. Okay, so at that point, things don't feel as dire as they did in the Lord of the Rings. There isn't like there isn't a consequence all the time where it's like, okay, well, if they don't win this battle, the whole fucking like Middle Earth is done. You know what I mean? Like that's it. It's over. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, like millions of people are going to be fucking enslaved. You know what I mean? Like, killed. Children are going to be killed, starved, all that kind of stuff. At that point, again, maybe this is purposeful. Maybe they're going to grow and like evolve that over time throughout seasons and like give us more and more and whatnot and give us different locations, more geography, more locations and whatnot from the past of Middle Earth and of the whole world, that world. In general, I will say that in the beginning, when Poppy sings that song and they display the map of Middle Earth as they're doing their journey, the family and everything and whatnot with the stranger, I thought that was cute. I did. I liked it. I thought it was like clever and everything and whatnot. It was a nice presentation. I enjoyed the map part and everything and seeing the map of the Middle Earth. And Poppy actually can sing pretty good. The song was actually pretty dope. I thought it was nice. Very old fashioned, almost like like Scottish, Irish kind of vibe, kind of in a way. As far as again, the ship's taking off and whatnot and everything. Haldren, I guess, sort of stepping up, right, and reassuring, Muriel and the Numerians and whatnot that they need to do this. This has to happen. Like, he's going to be down for the fight and whatnot. I think it's all a ploy. You know what I'm saying? Like before the end of the season, they're going to reveal who he is, right? And he's going to end up being somebody that either he might not be an enemy, but at the same time, he's not going to be a part of the cause of good, right? Whatever his goals are, they're his own. So, at that point, I think that's positive. It's nice to see some mystery. It's nice to have some suspense going on and not know everything with certain stuff, and then basically I felt like essentially sadly, I mean, I don't want to say sadly. I'll just be honest with you. I felt like the ending of the episode really didn't do anything for me. It wasn't impactful compared to other parts of the episode.
All right. Awesome. I mean, I honestly, I thought it was an okay ending. I thought overall the episode was a decent episode. I thought that it had some good moments. It had some boring moments. And overall, I thought that, it was a decent episode and a good addition to this series so far. And I'm looking forward to checking out the next 3 episodes, 6, 7, and 8, because it does end with 8. And it'll be interesting to see how it just, this season ends and what it's going to lead to for the next season. So most definitely. All right, folks. So that is the end of the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power episode 5.
Last word, Cyber. I'll give it a 7 or a 7.25.
You don't get an answer there, sir.
Just real quick. 7 to 7.25.
I would give it a 0.
That's not fair.
Hey, I get to say whatever number I want, sir.
Well, I think that I think it's very possible that 0 is also the same number that is almost equal or about the same as the amount of brain cells and IQ level and number that Kevin that came on and did the episode review without watching the episode is that,
I wouldn't give this episode a number. I just think it was a decent episode. If I had to say a number, I would say a 6. I would give it a 6.
Oh man, I honestly for a minute thought you were going to actually say that you didn't think it was right or like fair to even give the episode a number because that is like transgender, that's transphobic or whatever or something, or like it's not ethical or like liberally acceptable to use a number to rate human beings.
Okay. Anyways, folks, that's the end of the Lord of the Rings episode. We're now gonna roll into the Ant-Man Quantumanium trailer, and Sir Jeff is gonna take that over. So if you'd like to take that over, sir, you sure can.
I also, folks, want to display and show clearly as you look at Cyber's microphone compared to mine, how it's obvious that like Cyber is like totally like runs the show over here at the Bleeding Edge because I mean, look, come on, let's be real here. My shit here, my Audio Technica looks like a toy compared to his. You know what I'm saying? So it looks like something that my son would like have. I'm just kidding. Your Audio Technica, it just looks more attractive than mine. That's all. That's all. It's a visual thing. So
I think that it's because it's newer and it's from 2020.
Yes.
I think they just changed the shape of it.
Yes, they did. And so it's just an updated version, so it looks a little bit better, more futuristic. And I'd have to imagine too that it's probably also probably a more high quality microphone than mine, just because again it is the upgraded version. Now, folks, I want to preface as far as the Ant-Man 3 Quantumania trailer goes. We know Kang is the villain of the film. We do. Obviously, we know it for a while. We don't know what version of Kang it is. But at the same time, do not forget, those of you, I rarely actually exercise my role here as the comic book historian on the show. But don't forget, folks, those of you who saw Ant-Man 2 saw that little scene, that quick, very like 2 or 3 second scene where Michael Douglas goes into the quantum realm to get his wife, to save his wife, and Michelle Pfeiffer, essentially, the Wasp's mom, and essentially we see a city in a bubble as they're leaving the quantum realm, as they're exiting it. I don't know for sure, but I believe for a long time, and Cyber knows this, that is, of course, Kang City from the comics, Chronopolis. It looks exactly like it. So I just want to put that out there before we watch this, that we may actually see something that connects to that, or or intertwines with that and whatnot and everything. And if that occurs, that may actually give us some kind of indication in some direction in terms of what variant of Kang we're going to have here, right? Because I think you'd agree, right, Cyber? In Loki season 2, we're also going to have another version of Kang,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be the same one from Ant-Man 3. I don't.
Probably not. I mean, I think we'll be seeing several different variations of Kang, especially because of how it was left in Loki season 1. Him basically explaining that there was different variations of him and that they were being let free if they killed him.
Yeah.
I definitely feel we'll be seeing different variations of him throughout the different series and stuff.
That's right. He warned them, like, you don't even want to meet the other me's. Which is very exciting. Showtime.
Myself a lot of questions. Scott, you're an ex-con. How are you an Avenger? That doesn't make sense. But everywhere I go, people tell me the same thing.
Thank you, Spider-Man.
People don't help that.
That's why we made this. It's like a satellite for deep space, but quanta.
Wait a minute. You're sending a signal down to the quantum realm. Turn it off. Now!
Secret universe beneath ours. What are you so afraid of? There's something I never told you.
This place. It isn't what you think.
Oh, I find inside my future lies beyond the other ground.
I can get you home. And give you more time. If you help me. So, what's it gonna be? Antman.
Totally got to get us some Ant-Man Quantumania t-shirt, Cyber.
So I just want to first mention that sequence where it shows Kang coming down on that, like whatever that thing is. That was actually pretty decently very similar to what he looks like in the comics. So I was really impressed with that. I was really impressed by that. And this was probably the first trailer I've seen from Marvel, a teaser trailer, I should say, or first trailer from them in a while that I've seen that I actually liked right off the bat. I was actually surprised.
Well, you know what? That's very interesting, Cyber. I'm glad that you went ahead and mentioned that and whatnot and everything, because it's very factual and true that Cyber honestly has not been very pleased or like excited or really like blown away by the last 3 or 4 trailers we've seen. Initial trailers.
Yeah, initial trailers. Yeah. And I was actually, this one impressed me. And I thought, you know, Jonathan Majors looks amazing as Kang. And I thought it was a really good kind of like first start trailer. I'm looking forward to seeing further trailers and stuff like that. What the only complaint I had about the trailer was I am not thrilled with Hope Van Dyne's hairdo in this film.
Is that what the hell they do? Did they give her a pixie cut?
It looks just like Carol Danvers' pixie cut from Endgame.
No, it's even shorter than that, isn't it?
No, it's about the same length.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, for a minute there, I'll be honest with you, I was confused as to who the hell that was. I was like, who the hell is that? I know that the other girl is Stature, is Cassie. You know what I'm saying? She's just older. She's even, she's even older than she was in Endgame.
Yeah.
And she was in her Young Avengers from the comic books uniform too. She was in one of the scenes. So, and I'll be honest with you, look, I'm optimistic and I'm willing to be positive about the Young Avengers. There's no way around it. It's going to happen. But at the end of the day, I will say that Stature as a character, even though I don't know a lot about her from the comics, I won't lie. I'm not an expert. I do like her. I do like the concept of it. I like the idea of her as a character. I like Cassie Lang. I like the dynamic of her being Ant-Man's daughter. You know what I'm saying? All that and whatnot. So I dig that. I do. So at least there's one thing there, one component for me that I do find works, right? And I'm positive about. I love the fact that they're actually going to give her a valuable role in the film. I do. I think it's a great move. What do you think, Cyber?
I'm interested in seeing where that takes it. Catherine Langford, who plays Cassie in this, last movie she was in that I enjoyed her in was Freaky with Vince Vaughn that came out a couple years ago now. It's a horror comedy film directed by Christopher Landon, Michael Landon's son. And it's from the same guy that did those Happy Death Day films. And I think she's a decent actress. She's pretty fun. She's pretty enjoyable. And I'll be interested to see what she brings. I was sad that they didn't bring back the little girl that was in the first two films. I know that she's not old enough to be that age yet because, they time jump so much in the films. But I would have still liked to have seen her come back because I really enjoyed her. I thought she was funny, Cassie. I liked what she brought to the character. So when they changed her from the actress in Endgame and then to this, they changed her again. I was like really shocked. I mean, because the girl in Endgame I felt was around the same age, so I was really surprised why they decided to change her again. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Catherine Langford brings to this character and how she changes it from the previous Cassies we've seen. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
I don't want to dive down a rabbit hole, but I think it's very interesting that you make that point. Because if you think about it, Marvel Studios in general, Kevin Feige in general, his team, and of course Sarah Finn in general, they're very consistent. They're very reliable with what they do, and they're very, very, very forthright and dedicated, and very much like to stick with one thing. Like when they make a decision, when they go in a direction with a casting, whatever, a story, they go with it. Right? That's it. So at that point, since we all know that Kevin Feige has that whiteboard, right, in his office or whatever, that has the next 4, 5, 6 years of the MCU all freaking mapped out in some form, probably all over the place or whatever. At that point, it makes you wonder, what changed? You know what I mean? In the back, what happened or whatever to where they felt that it was necessary to make sure that a different actress portrayed Cassie as she becomes Stature, right? I refuse to believe that Sarah Finn cast that young woman in Endgame and she's a bad actress. And she couldn't have done Ant-Man 3.
Yeah, I don't think so too. So I have no idea what happened there. The only thing I think of is maybe a conflict with another film or something like that she just couldn't she couldn't film when they wanted to film it. That's the only thing I can think of that I saw too, because I remember when they decided that they were bringing in Catherine Langford, there was a few articles saying why the other chick didn't come back, and the one thing was conflict with another film is what they kept saying. So I think that's the reason why they did that. I don't think it was, like you said, I don't think it had anything to do with she couldn't act. I think it just was a conflict of films because she couldn't film at the time they wanted to, so that's why they changed it.
That's crazy. That's crazy because I got to imagine that you couldn't ask for a better role than to be Stature going into the Young Avengers and whatnot and everything. Who the hell knows how big that could be, right?
Yeah.
Honestly. You know, we'd have no idea because we've never had a kid inspired, you know, youth inspired, completely youth inspired type of you know, concept in Marvel. We haven't, you know, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we don't know how big it could be. It could be huge, right?
Yeah.
Never know. Or it could not be. But you're right, Cyber. I agree with you 100%. They didn't give us a lot of Jonathan Majors, but we didn't need it, right?
No.
We already know what he can do. He's well established. He has a very well known reputation, right, in terms of like his abilities and whatnot as an actor. And like it or hate it, with the Loki finale, I know some people think it was boring or whatever, flat or whatever and whatnot. And there was too much talking, not enough action. But either way, whatever you want to think about it, Jonathan Majors was outstanding in the Loki finale. He was great, literally great. And you got to remember, he's being asked to do a lot here. He's being asked to play multiple versions of the same character, right? With different dispositions, attitudes, goals, demeanors. I mean, you know, similar to Oscar Isaac in Moon Knight. You know, that's tough. That's a lot to ask from an actor or an actress to do that. It's hard enough, I think, probably to play one character. You know, so at that point, I have no doubts whatsoever in Jonathan Majors' ability to do it. I think he's going to kill it. I think Marvel knows that, right? Or they wouldn't have went ahead and flat out said that he's going to be the fucking villain of the Avengers films. So, you know, but hey, Cyber, I know it has not officially been like announced by Marvel Studios, but I know you've heard the rumors recently that Dr. Doom's going to be in Black Panther 2, baby.
Yeah, they've been saying that now for a few months now. I've heard that, but I don't think it's going to be a huge part. I think it's going to be like a cameo type of deal, like they did with Hercules and Love and Thunder. But yeah, I mean, who knows? We'll see how it goes. You know, with Doctor Doom, because he's an interesting and good character, but you know, who knows? It could be a smart choice. It could be a smart choice. You know what I mean?
I don't care how they do it. I don't care if it's a 15-second mid-credit scene. Getting him into the MCU is all I care about, right? So once he's in, then they can use him. He'll be in something tangibly, right? I just want to see him done right and done the correct way. That's all, because I think that he could be a game changer. I really do. You know, and again, we'll see. But as far as the Ant-Man trailer goes, I think that, like Cyber already said, the second one's going to be better. It will be. There'll be more action, right? There's probably going to be other characters that are going to show in the second one that we haven't seen yet. Bill Murray had a brief glimpse there in the trailer. He's in the film. Who the hell he's supposed to be, I'm not even sure. And as far as the whole Chronopolis deal goes, yes, that's Chronopolis, folks. Just so you know, that is Kang's secret city in the quantum realm from the comics. That's it. That is Chronopolis. That is why he's there. That's what it is. When Michelle Pfeiffer says there's something I didn't tell you or whatever, she knew Kang was there. She knew that Kang ran that shit. She did. How the hell do you think she survived? You know. So at that point, I'm not surprised at all. You know. What I am interested though in, Cyber, you tell me, is I love the premise that they give us this trailer, and what does Kang do when we see him? He's bargaining with Ant-Man. He's bargaining with Scott. Like, work with me. Work with me. You know, what's your choice going to be? Like, okay, what's that about? That intrigues me.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that's all about. Because, I mean, if you think about it, the last time we saw Kang in the season finale of Loki, he was kind of doing the same thing there. He was kind of bargaining with them too as well, to get them not to kill him too. So I think that this is a part of the Kangs, you know, type of their ordeal, like what they do. And so it'll be interesting to see what this Kang, you know, dilemma is, or why he's trying to do this, to see where that leads to. I mean, who knows what it leads to? I mean, it, like, as everyone keeps saying, you know, this is kind of the beginning of the Young Avengers. Does it lead towards them becoming a viable new Avengers team? What does it lead to eventually? And just to correct myself, it's Catherine Newton, sorry, that's playing Cassie, not Langford. Catherine Newton. That's her name. I just want to correct myself there. I feel like a dipshit.
Well, you got to remember, it doesn't matter what variant of Kang it is. They're all extremely, extremely highly intelligent, right? Okay, you got to remember, the original Kang, right, is Reed Richards, he's related to Reed Richards. Okay, he's in the Richards family. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And not too distant from Reed. At that point, we already know how smart Reed Richards is from Fantastic Four. He's essentially like the most brilliant guy in Marvel Comics. Like that's what he is. He's beyond Tony Stark or Shuri or whatever. So at that point, Kang is very intelligent, very intelligent. And I honestly, Cyber, as time's moving on, I'm kind of grasping why they went with Kang. He's an opposite to Thanos. He doesn't have the same goals as Thanos. He's not the same type of character as Thanos. He's not physically overpowering, right? He doesn't want the Infinity Gauntlet, right? That's not his desire to do that. At that point, I think they went with Kang because he was an opposite kind of villain than Thanos. And I think they thought to themselves, you know what? Out of what we have to work with, these other villains that we can choose from, they're just too similar in their overall goals and pursuits to Thanos, right? So at that point, if you're starting to like restart and rebuild another 10 years of the MCU, you don't want the same as that villain that we just had for 10 years, I think, right? I wouldn't want that. So
yeah, I mean, I'm sure they thought that Kang would be a good new like adversary because of his wits and because of how smart he is, and that. Yeah, he does have that Reed Richards mentality. He has a Reed Richards smarts that they wanted to change it up from thug to, mad scientist type of deal. They wanted to go more in the direction of a methodical villain versus just a brute force, take over the world, destroy half the population type of deal. They wanted something that there would be more to it. And that's probably why they decided to go Kang.
Sure. And at the same time, too, Kang is interesting, right? He's not like Thanos. Thanos is philosophical at times, but overall, he has no desire for wealth. He's not greedy. He doesn't want to run anything, right? He doesn't want to run the universe. He doesn't want to like run planets or whatever and be the king at all, right? What did he want to do? Live on his farm and shit by himself. That's all he wanted. Kang does want shit. He does want to run the show. He wants to literally run entire freaking like universes and shit. Straight up. He does. You know what I'm saying? Like that's his goal. That's what he's about. Is like straight up conquering shit. Like that's what he does. At that point, how they're going to manifest that in terms of his disposition, his mindset, what kind of person he is, what kind of character villain he is, we'll see. But in general, he does have a desire to want power. He does want title. He does want primacy, right? And whatnot and everything. He does. And again, that's very, very different than Thanos, but at the same time, though, again, he's highly intelligent. He's not an idiot, right? He's not, he's not sinister. He has interesting motivations. So we'll see. But last word, Cyber. Anything from the Ant-Man 3 Ant-Man and the Wasp 3 Quantumania trailer we didn't cover that you liked, or maybe I didn't miss, maybe, or I didn't mention, or you didn't mention?
No, I think we covered pretty much the big bases: Kang, Chronopolis, the hair of Hope Van Dyne. I think it's interesting that that I feel that Michelle Pfeiffer seems to be going to be a big focus point in this one too as well, because of being down there for so many years. So I think that's interesting that she has knowledge that they don't know yet, and she's like, I got to tell you something, and that's going to help with Kang. So I think that's a cool kind of thing that they kind of brought that full 360 back to Janet because of being down in the quantum realm for so many years. So I think that's cool that we're going to get a little more taste. And I definitely feel this trailer, when I watched it the 2 times or 3 times now I've watched it, I got such a Guardians of the Galaxy vibe with basically how the quantum realm looks.
The music too.
And the music too. It was felt very Guardians of the Galaxy. Feel.
Very James Gunn.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, me too.
So that's all I have to say for it. I give it a good high number for this trailer. I would give it a 9.
I'll give it an 8.25. I'll give it an 8.5. But I will say this. We do see Kang in his original comic book form with the blue face mask shit and everything at one point. We do. Right? That's not his actual face. It's like a mask or like a part of his armor. But we saw that, right? Now, here's my one quandary, though. Is Cassie Lang the new Rey from Star Wars or some shit or whatever? Like, how did she suddenly fucking be able to figure out how to do quantum physics and shit and whatnot and all that, and like build a device to be able to freaking like communicate with the freaking quantum realm, right? Come on now. Seriously. Like, quantum physics and quantum science is like one of the most fucking complicated, difficult, intense fucking things out there. So, like, what happened? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, I don't know. I have nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get that either. I think that'll be interesting to see, like, if they explain that at all, in the film, like how she all of a sudden became such a quantum physics. Like, I mean, the only thing I can think of is that maybe because of Scott being with Hope, and then because of Hank, maybe them being together. Because I don't know what the time frame is for this film, how many years it's supposed to be between Endgame.
That's what I was wondering too.
And I wonder, if there's like a time gap there where that they just were interacting with each other, and maybe she learned something through that. So who knows? Hopefully they'll explain that, and we'll get more history about that.
Well, I don't know. All I can tell you is that it's very interesting. I mean, how do you even build can you imagine how hard it must be to actually build a device that can allow you to actually literally like tap into and jump into and send a message to the freaking quantum realm? Like, you know what I'm saying? From your universe? I mean, like, that's beyond like space type shit. You're talking about beyond space when you're talking about quantum realm type shit and whatever and whatnot. So that's all I'm saying is just that I thought the quantum realm was like the most complicated fucking like, intense shit out there, right? The multiverse is simple. It's just different freaking dimensions and different universes. That's all it is, right? A bunch of them. Navigating is difficult, but the concept's simple. So, hey, what about James Gunn? What about James Gunn getting fucking hired by freaking Warner Brothers Discovery?
I mean, I don't think it's shocking to anybody. I mean, with how successful Suicide Squad and then Peacemaker was, that doesn't really surprise me at all. I was not surprised when that popped up because, I mean, with how Disney did him, I'm not surprised that he would go and do this just to kind of like say, hey, screw you, Disney, screw you,
Well, you know what? I think that Gerald pointed out, and this is a good point, last night when him and I did an Antman and a trailer reaction, and we also did the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special one, which came out yesterday, of course. And Gerald surprised the shit out of me with that. I had no idea, but he actually pointed out too, of course, that they did hire another guy, right, to work with James Gunn, I guess, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to be just him. And so at that point, you wonder, now, how's that going to work? Like, how's that dynamic going to play out? I mean, is it going to be a 50-50 thing, decision-making wise, or is one person actually going to be the Kevin Feige, like the shot caller, or, whatever? I mean, I do find it interesting. It does make you wonder. And of course I need to do more research and read more and find out all the information that's out there for it with the whole situation. But I personally just think that, you tell me, Cyber, I don't think there's anything more confidence instilling to any fan out there that loves DC, right, and wants to see good DC movies and good DC TV shows than to see James Gunn being put in any kind of position in charge to their film division.
Most definitely.
Right? If that's the direction they want to go, I love me some James Gunn, man.
Yep.
He made some good ass movies. He's a good director.
Very much so.
Question is, though, is he a team player?
I think he is. I think he probably is.
You never know. Who knows? Or maybe they freaking hired both of them because one of them's going to do one thing and the other one's going to do another thing. They're not even going to like having to do with each other, right?
Well, yeah, Saffron is a producer. He's been producing since Suicide Squad 1. He's been producing the DC film. So, I mean, he's just really he kind of has an idea because he's a producer. So I feel that Gunn is going to be more of the creative force, and he's going to be more of like the, kind of like, oh, we should do this, like we should go with this and produce this and that kind of deal. I think they'll work coincide with each other because they are supposed to be co-CEOs. So they're both going to, I feel it's going to be kind of a 50-50 thing, but I think definitely Gunn is probably going to take a lot more of the creative side versus the producing side, and that Saffron's going to do.
Yeah, like the logistical side.
Yeah.
Bottom line side, the part where you actually have to care about things like your budget, right? And like, you know what I'm saying? And like, and you got to actually take into consideration advertising, promoting, all that kind of stuff, all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I see what you're saying. And if that's the case, that's probably a good move, to do things that way. But either way, that is the end of the show, folks. I was going to go ahead and play a trailer for my new film coming out, where I'm actually a special assistant coach for the Young Avengers, right? Working specifically with the young women on the Young Avengers to help them mature, right, as women and superheroes in a proper way, in a bleeding edge way. I was going to play a trailer for it, but unfortunately, Disney was not okay with it. So, they weren't down with it. It was not Disneyfied. It wasn't Disney approved. So that's okay though. It's all right. We'll leave it a mystery.
Mystery.
There you go. Either way, I want to go ahead and just shout out really quick everybody in Florida and whatnot and everything that's been hurt by the hurricane and affected by the hurricane and whatnot and everything. I know that we're all sort of recuperating down here and whatnot, right? I hope that all of you are doing okay with your insurance companies. I know that sadly some of you literally still don't have power, and I hope that gets rectified very quickly. I do, because I know how rough it is. It sucks. But we wish everybody well. We do. We hope all of you are safe. And look, you know what? Things can be rebuilt. Things can be replaced, right? People can't. So, at the end of the day, we want to thank all of our subscribers for pushing us over the 4,000 mark recently. That was really cool. I just noticed it the other day. We were at 3,000 something or whatever the last time I checked. All of a sudden I jumped on and I saw it was 4,080. And I was like, you know what? That's awesome. I'm telling you, Cyber, it's very interesting. But everybody told me, the people told me, they said to me, you know what? That first 500, that first 1,000 subs on YouTube is a killer. It's a deal breaker. It's a killer. And like literally it's not easy. Well, they're right. They're right without question. And it took us over a year plus to make it happen. But I'll tell you what, they said after that, it gets easier. The numbers come quicker, right? Before you know it, you're at this point, then this point and whatnot, right? It gets easier. Well, guess what? We put up 3,000 plus subs in what, Cyber? 4 months?
Yep.
Since then? Well, there you go. That is definitely, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes, I'm no mathematician, but the last time I checked, that type of growth and whatnot and everything lends well to the potential that Cyber and I have over here at the Bleeding Edge. As long as none of my illicit underage sex tapes somehow end out, becoming public, then we might be in a bad spot. I'm just joking, Cyber. I wanted to make a connection to the Michael Jackson shit we were talking about earlier. My bad. Private joke, folks. Private joke. Little private joke between me and Cyber. We were having a little Michael Jackson chat earlier.
Burn that shit.
No, I'm just kidding, folks. I'm just joking. Oh, that's awesome. We got a fan here. Girls 18 online. There you go. Big fan of us, obviously. Offering us a wonderful kind offer to go visit, I guess, Virgin. Is that Virgin Girls chat? Okay, hey, you know what? That's great. My only question would be there, though, Girls 18 Online. How do I actually know that the chick is a virgin if I'm just chatting with her through messaging and I don't see her or like know anything about her? But whatever, that's fine. That'd be like I'm saying I'm a virgin, right? Okay, you can believe what you want. Cyber, my friend, please tell folks out there about what you are doing with your individual content right now since the last time that I checked in with you, since I've been very hit or miss for the last 3 or 4 weeks, with as far as like doing the shows.
Well, as always, you can find me under Cybernetic Shark, like the title card there is, on YouTube, TikTok, Rizzle, Instagram, Facebook, all those great places. And I've been doing solo content where we basically been reviewing movies, some horror films a lot, mostly. And just been putting them up, trying to get some newer movie reviews up there, but definitely be having my Black Adam review soon up for you guys. And I just recently Cybernetic Shark has a Brie Larson photo taped up in front of him during the show for inspiration. That's a lie. It's Rachel Weisz that I have taped up. And I mean, if you enjoy my modeling on here, definitely go check that out. I do I do different types of movie reviews than you're usually used to. I do a lot of different things in them. I tell you about other films that these people have been in or created, and that if you like them in the other movie, definitely check them out in these movies. I give you a little bit of history about certain things and stuff like that as well. So it's not your usual. It's a little different. So I'm trying to make it different from the other people out there. So if you do go check that out, please do subscribe. Please do look that up and do that and so forth. And I appreciate everyone that has. And you guys are great. And definitely check out my solo content.
That's right. I just checked out Cyber's TikTok yesterday or the day before, I think it was. And I was actually very, very impressed. I hadn't looked at it in a minute. And he's doing some really good work over there. He really is. From a presentation standpoint, the visual standpoint and whatnot, his TikTok vids look solid. They really do. They're very good. They're very well done. He obviously makes an effort with them. He does. He cares about what he does. He takes it seriously, right? And that's why at the end of the day, Cyber is the more ethical and professional co-host of the MCU's Bleeding Edge. I have to relent there. At the end of the day, I am a grimy, savage motherfucker. On top of being a long-winded one, too. Now, I don't have to worry about talking about my extremely small penis anymore because since I have irreversible erectile dysfunction anyway, my penis is inert. It doesn't even matter. So, who cares? But either way, I do, again, want to thank all of you out there and whatnot and everything that have been so wonderful to us and so good to us and, like, literally helped us reach a point where thanks to stuff we've done together, me and Cyber, stuff I've done trying to help us out. We've been watching a lot of growth in terms of our stats and whatnot, how many people are watching our lives after they actually go on YouTube. Our performance on other platforms has been growing. We've been getting bigger numbers on our lives on other platforms. We've been doing well on Rumble. Thank you, Rumble. I'll be honest with you. There's some bullshit going on StreamYard right now. Some bugs are having. I don't even know if we're on Rumble tonight. I don't know. We haven't been on Facebook in 3 weeks. So, at that point, I can't even say, hey, people you on Facebook, like, I'm sorry, we'll see you soon. But they're not giving me any answers. So I have no idea what the hell's going on. I have no idea. Even StreamYard screws up, unfortunately. I love them, but they do. At the end of the day, though, we do appreciate all of you on all the platforms we're on. Rumble, Twitter Live, Facebook Live, our Facebook page at the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Twitch. We've been doing really well on Twitch recently. We have been. We're very close to getting an offered partnership on Twitch. We're going to get it soon. Believe it or not. Isn't that crazy? We've come a long way, Cyber, in a year and a half, my friend. Crazy. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out there that are very jealous of us. It took them 10, 12, 14 years to do the shit we're doing in a year and a half. And you know what? I don't blame them. I'd be jealous too, probably. But hey, what are you going to do? When you're as talented as Cybernetic Shark and I, miracles can happen, baby. But anyways, thank you, folks. We appreciate you. Thank you, fandom. Marvel MCU fandom. hey, don't give up, baby. Stay strong. Be confident. Be optimistic. We've got nothing but good shit coming down the road. I'm telling you right now. All right. I know things have been a little flat lately, but don't give up. We got good stuff coming still. Do not give up on Kevin Feige, man. I'm telling you right now. Betting against that man would be the worst decision you could ever make. So, you know, besides trying to masturbate with sand, like I did on during some of my training on Andor with the Tuskens, you know, just to try to connect with them on a Tusken level. It's definitely not a positive time or a fun experience. You know, not productive at all. But either way, again, thank you to Cybernetic Shark, my co-host. Thank you to Dodger, our silent co-host. Thank you, Dodger. Good show. As usual, you added your usual, you know, deal or whatever, whatnot over there, like while you were passed out in your bed. Very effective. And hey, we love all of you out there. Take care. God bless you. We'll see you next time.
Hot D.
Yeah, bitch, I'm a cow. Bitch, I'm a cow. I'm not a cat. I don't say meow.
Really, y'all don't know this, y'all in danger. I'm a threat. I'm a gamble with your life, cause you know that it's okay. It's okay. You know